everyone. The appointed time has arrived, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mayor and Council, February 7, 2017. First, we'll have our invocation by Councilman Verlin Best, and then after that, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hey, head, please. Lord, please bless this meeting and all participants involved. Please allow all parties to be friends and professional as we conduct the business of this city. I ask these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get started, I have a couple of presentations I am honored to present tonight. As many of you know, we spent the last, I think that's 2 weekends ago, at the Mayor's Day Conference down at the Marriott in Atlanta, and some good seminars. Councilman McDougal and myself attended for the first time, and during that conference, there were actually two of our one of our elected officials and one of our staff that were recognized, and Mr. Milliron does not want me to recognize him, but I will. But first, I would like to recognize Ward 3 Mayor Pro Tem Leslie McPherson for having successfully completed the requirements for the certification of recognition through the Harold F. Holtz Municipal Training Institute. This certification requires 42 hours of training, including at least 18 hours from the required list of courses and the newly elected officials institute. So, Councilman, we would like to thank you for your participation in that, and congratulations.
You want to do a photo?
Down front.
I would like to point out that it says University of Georgia at the top.
My camera is fine until you said that. All right. You'll tilt it just a little up and get that glare off there. There you go. Beautiful. All right, there we go. Thank you.
Set up in my office.
I didn't even bring my plaque with me. I had one at the conference. They took one at the conference.
And I asked our city manager, David Milliron, prior to the meeting where his plaque was, and he said he left it at home, but that's not going to get him out of getting recognized tonight. Gil and I both noticed while we were at Mayor's Day Conference that one of the top attendees of all the conferences, in fact, I think on the front page, was our city manager, David Milliron. And so this is recognition to the city manager, David Milliron, for having successfully completed the requirements for a certificate of excellence through the Harold F. Holtz Municipal Training Institute. This certification requires 120 hours of training, including at least 54 hours from the required list of courses and participation in the Robert E. Knox Jr. Municipal Leadership Institute. So, David, I don't have a certificate to present you, but on behalf of the council and the public, I'd like to thank you for your participation.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and I, of course, missed one, being blind like I am. The first thing I guess we should have done is the administering of the oath of office to Dale Schwarzkopf on his renewal to the Villa Rica Development Authority for a subsequent 4-year term expiring 12/31/2020. So, Dale, if you will come forward.
Did she give you the oath of office?
I have no oath before me. I can come up with one, but
Well, I'll get you an oath. I can't record it and film it at the same time. Okay. Our apologies.
He can always say I do.
Our city clerk is out on training, so I apologize.
He can say I do. Let's go.
Just say I do.
You have no idea what you're committing to.
Very, very
I will say while we're waiting for this, that Dale, it's been a pleasure to work beside you and with you for many years now. Dale has been a stalwart for this city for many years, and I appreciate your volunteerism and your efforts in this city. We appreciate it.
Okay, I downloaded it. So where's your download?
She has a bigger screen.
Now I gotta make sure that I get a big print. Yeah, but it's got to go for now.
Jeff, you want to borrow my glasses?
If I had one, I'd
Just
read it.
wait, it only gets worse.
I'm sure he's taken this oath before.
Just say I
We
do.
can probably just
Jeff,
dispense with the formalities.
It's not about the glasses.
Oh, excuse me, I'm
I don't have it.
It'll be whole.
Sorry, gotta find it real quick. It's easier said than done. Crazy as it is, but I always carry the charter with me. I just forgot. I do. So you don't have to read it off the phone. Qualification. Social organization. And then coach.
Thank you for standing up here so long, Dale.
Well, he could sing, he could dance, he could do lots of things. He could update you on the Falcon Stadium. All they want is.
Can I suggest something?
Real
I
quick.
don't have one here, but I believe that I can administer an oath to Mr.
Okay.
Schwarzkopf that would stand up should anyone ever contest his authority to act.
Thank you, David.
Okay, I can. I was looking, let me go ahead and record it though. Sorry, the only thing I was looking for is not reserved there. Okay, so we'll. Do you want the mayor with you?
No, he can do it.
It's efficiency, we're talking
I'm
efficiency.
going to repeat the oath, and then at the end of it, if you will say, I do. Do you, Dale Schwarzkopf, swear and affirm that you will true and well perform the duties of member of the Villa Rica Development Authority, and by doing so uphold the laws of the state of Georgia, the city of Villa Rica, and the United States of America? If you will, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Good work.
Good job, sir.
Sorry about that.
I am a firm believer that volunteerism is what makes our community so great here in Villa Rica, and I commend Dale and all our volunteers for the jobs that they do. Okay, moving right along. Adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, this is a staff request from the city attorney to remove at this time G as in golf 5 from the agenda.
Okay, we have a request from our city manager to remove the Hart House discussion from the agenda. Need that in the form of a motion.
Yeah. Hold on. Mine says governing body.
You got the new, you got the old one.
He is in golf. Okay.
He said governing body.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion is unanimous. Any other changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add an executive session to the agenda for personnel matters.
Okay. Mr. Mecklen, what's the procedure on that? Do we need a second?
Yeah, it would be a motion to add an executive session. We said for personnel matters. That's for the meetings when discussing and deliberating upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employees in accordance with the state statute. So that's what your motion is.
I second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Any other changes in the agenda? Okay. Moving right along, council updates. I have a couple of things I'd like to mention, and then I'll let the council speak. I'd like to recognize a scout. I was a scout myself, so we have a Boy Scout in our group, and his father asked that he be recognized. I assume this is for a badge. So hopefully he does not get discouraged. If you would stand, we'd just like to recognize you. I think scouting is a great program. And second, just got a call from State Representative Collins right before the meeting, and our senior tax exemption request for it to be on the ballot has been, I guess, authored by and signed by two legislators. It's in the box now, and it will be voted on hopefully tomorrow, and so then it will move forward. Hopefully we're shooting for this to be on the March 24th. Is that correct? I think that's what was sent in,
Yes.
Correct, David? Okay, so that, Jay called right before the meeting, Representative Collins called right before the meeting and asked that I announce that. So Jay is working for us at the Gold Dome, and we certainly appreciate that. Okay, any other council updates or items for discussion?
I was just going to mention just briefly as something that might help at our meetings. A citizen brought this to my attention that when we have public comment, if people know ahead of time that they want to make a comment, to go ahead and sign in ahead of time, their name and address will already be on there. They won't have to take that time to try to do it when they're wanting to talk. And that won't preclude anyone else who still decides in the middle of the discussion that there's something they want to comment on, still doing that. So just something to think about, might help things be a little bit more efficient.
I think did everybody hear that, hopefully? Okay, I think that's a good idea. Any other council?
Another possibility on that also is that after the first person has signed in, we can move the sign-in sheet over here to the chairs, and whoever's going to speak next could be coming on up and getting ready.
Also a good idea. David, would you make sure that we have a little table or something to put that on out there? Okay. All right, any further discussion? Council agenda items? All right, moving along to city manager's report. David?
Yes, sir. The first one is Fullerville Trailhead Project. A couple things to alert the council on that staff is working through to resolve. The first is that during the construction phase, we have discovered an AT&T fiber line that is causing a conflict in the project. When the project was originally vetted, all utilities were contacted, and they gave us no conflict letters. Well, lo and behold, we are moving forward on the project, and we discover an AT&T fiber line. We are working through that issue with AT&T and our city attorney because the relocation of that would be about a $35,000 expense if certain criteria exist. So at this point, I just want to give the council a heads up that potentially can cause a significant delay in the project. The second issue is we have a soil compaction issue, and we may potentially have to come back to the council and get authorization for additional funding because the the amount of dirt and rock that has to be taken out and then replaced with good soil could be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the neighborhood of, is it 80,000? 60? 90, 96,000? Yeah, it's just shy of $100,000. That was absolutely unforeseen on this project. So we'll be back in contact once we know more. We may end up tacking on something to next week's meeting as a potential special called meeting once we know some more. Any questions for council on that? The second is a reminder, I just made reference to it, next week, Thursday, 3 o'clock, there is a work session for enterprise funds and senior citizen discounts on water, sewer, and solid waste. That'll be here in the municipal courtroom, so that's just a reminder. And then lastly, there have been a good number of complaints, also some quality issues regarding paving projects that have occurred in the city recently. So a number of council members, certainly for the council's benefit, every complaint that's received has been shared with the contractor, so they're well aware of the complaints. But knowing that council had multiple questions, we're still working through the issues with the contractor itself, so that's being handled administratively. But we have Mr. Eric Brunson and also Mr. Rennie Richardson here from HEH Paving, and also Adam Price and Skip Layton from Falcon. Skip, I guess, is still en route. No, Skip's here. Adam's probably still en route. So at least we have Skip, who is representing the city, and then, of course, Mr. Brunson, Mr. Richardson, who are more than welcome to approach the podium and answer any questions that the council might have.
Okay. Is this the appropriate time to do that, or we're going to do public comment? Because
This is the appropriate time for the council to address it.
okay. Council, is it your desire to ask any questions of these gentlemen?
It is.
Whom would you like to address your question to?
Well, I think, let me make a couple comments first. Just,
Michael?
I guess I'd kind of like to know where we're at on this project. Are you the guys right here on the front row?
I'm Rennie Richardson.
Y'all step up to the mic podium if you would.
My name is Rennie Richardson. I'm the operations manager for HEH Paving.
I'm Eric Brunson. I'm the project manager for HH Paving.
Okay. I've had a number of calls, and I've been up and down these roads too, and just visually, they just don't look right. And I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about how that process goes, and I don't want to be here all night, but and where we're at right now, and what you still anticipate doing out there. And specifically South Carroll Road. Let's just, if we want to take one specifically.
Okay, what's the comparison based upon?
Well, I'm not really drawing a comparison right now. As I travel down the road, it looks to me like the road's not as wide as the existing road was. Is that fair?
That's
About how wide is that road that you put down?
right now it should be about 24 and a half feet.
What did the contract call for, Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Skip Layton, do you want to answer that question?
The contract required that the contractor put the roads back at the same width that the travel lanes were.
So we didn't cover
When
the,
you had an excessive shoulder, they didn't pave that. They paved the travel lanes.
Would you define travel lane for me? Is that the lanes, the white lanes on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it would have covered the white lanes?
Yes.
and not necessarily the road that was already there, because you can see some of the old roads sticking out on both sides.
Well, again, that was an unimproved shoulder, really. And no, we were covering the travel lanes. You had a finite amount of money that was being utilized. We were trying to stretch your dollars as far as we could.
Okay. I don't do paving. I never have. But when I went out there, I went to several different spots up and down South Carroll Road. And I took this little meter thing that I have, and I started at the new asphalt and went to the other side, and I did it in 4 different locations. And each time I got between 22 feet even and 22 and a half feet. Did that surprise you?
No, it's compared to what was there. We paid what was there.
I guess my only comment would be, is what we have what the contract said we're supposed to have? I'm not a paver either, although, you know, I have driven up and down the roads and had some concern about what looks like Mars, like it's marked up and it's bumpy. I've been on South Carroll, I've also went over and did Rock Mart the last couple days. So that's my concern. If I'm seeing like areas that look like they're messed up now, and that's the new paving, what happens over time? So that's my concern, being somebody who doesn't do asphalt. And did we get what the contract says we're supposed to get? I don't really care whether it went out or it's supposed to go out to the edge or not go out to the edge. I want to know, did we get, not whether we're supposed to save money, did we get what the bid and the contract said we're supposed to get? That's what I care about. And is it supposed to be smooth? I only know as a citizen driving up and down what it feels like.
The areas that you might be referring to where there's little bird baths and all that in the asphalt, those are all on the punch list. We're not done. So the contractor is required to go back and address all our punch list items and fix those areas that are substandard. And that's part of his requirement, so that will be done.
And I think you hit a key point right there, and I think you could probably address a lot of the questions that council has and their constituents have, because I personally haven't seen the punch list. I assume our city manager has that punch list.
The punch list hasn't been generated. Work was just completed last week on everything, so it's in the process.
Okay. I would suggest to our city manager then, is when that punch list is put together, share that with the council, and that will address some of their constituents' issues, perhaps. And there, we may add other things on the punch list, we being council.
I think that's fair. I think I started out by asking what was left to do. So what is left to do is that you still have a punch list,
There's
but
a
you
punch
still have
list.
striping to do.
There's permanent striping. The striping that's out there now is temporary. And the reason behind that is we're using a thermoplastic paint in lieu of a standard traffic paint. And the thermoplastic requires the asphalt to cure for a period to get the oils out
Okay.
before it's painted. So what they put down is just so you'll have visibility and somebody, you know, in control, or have a lane to get in.
Okay, fair enough. I just went through these documents, and what I had said that this project would be done by December the 31st. Is that accurate?
No, they're over time.
Okay, well so it's fair then to say you still have work to do out there, and you still have a punch list that still needs to be generated. Is that fair?
Yes, there's still items on the units that they bid, like raising manholes, valves, et cetera, that still have to be done. There's some shoulder work that's required, those type of items, and then the punch list items are all
Okay.
yet to be completed.
Then this may be a little premature.
The questions that I have can pertain to the bid process, I think. It says list of all roads included in Villa Rica resurfacing program, phase 1, with approximate dimensions and proposed improvements. South Carroll Road is to a width of 25 feet. But you just told me it was 22 and a half, and we saw some different dimensions. Why is it 25 foot here? There is 22 foot on Spring Street, and I understand about Clearview, it's a subdivision street at 21, Candler Street's at 23. And again, I told all three of you the other day, I don't know anything about all this. All I know is these figures. I guess that's a concern that I have, is it says it's going to be at 25 foot, and yet it's not.
That is something we'll check with the punch list.
But now, help me out. If you got it at 22 foot and you go back in and put another 6 or 8 inches on each side, that's going to leave a crease or a seam? Is that?
It takes more than 6 or 8 inches.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, on the side,
I understand what you're asking.
it's going to be a seam down the side. Is that going to be the same amount of time that the original road is going to be? Or are we talking about doing away in 6 months or a year with that, whatever you put down again?
If
So
whatever
guess-
we do there will be
Okay,
for the longevity of the road. It
Okay.
won't be a temporary thing.
okay, good.
Will it be 25 feet wide, South
That I
Carolina?
don't know.
Not even per the document?
That
Okay.
I can't answer.
Well, I guess we'll wait and
If it's not
see.
in the best interest of the project, no, I would say no.
So you're not going to follow the 25-foot width? That's why it looks like it's coming
We're
up
trying to
short.
follow the contract as it was written, yes,
Okay.
sir. And again, we have to evaluate. That's what the punch list is all about.
All right. I'll wait for the punch list.
Can I just ask real quickly, who's the project manager?
I am for the HH paving.
Okay. And do we have a separate project manager that's overseeing all this from
The
Falcon?
construction oversight, yes, that would be Falcon, so that would be Mr.
That's
Skip. He's
Mr.
got,
Skip, okay. You're Falcon. I'm
Yes.
just trying to get everybody straight, who's who on here. Okay, so you are overseeing the entire project
Yes.
of paving, okay.
Is there, after the bids were let, was there another amount of money that was asked for?
I don't quite follow.
Was there a change order involved?
Oh, yes. When the bids were let, the items that were being bid on were just placeholders because again, you had a finite amount of money. We did not know how many roads or which roads we could pave for that amount of money. And once we determined, what the unit prices were and that they were fair pricing, that's when we then moved those into your total budget for the maximum amount of roads that you could pave.
Okay, so how much was a change order? Do you remember?
It increased the project, I don't remember exactly, maybe 100,000 something. What it did was, it brought in all your LMIG money that was available to us to maximize how many roads could be paved.
the change order correction. The change order did not ever increase the amount of the project. I had come back to the council and let them know in a city manager's report, and we went down all of the roads that we're on, and I went through and said, these ones can't be paved because we don't have the proper right-of-way. These ones can't be paved because we're going to be tearing them up for water lines. These are the ones that we don't have money for. These are the ones that we're going to prioritize based on money. And then based on that, the council then approved the final pave list. That figure never changed for the total project, which my recollection was that it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 600,000 or something. But if sir, if you're looking at the change order, that's what the amount that the council approved, and that was using the 2015 and 2016 LMIG money. You had some leftover SPLOST money. And then there was the baseline. So all that put together is what we allocated as a governing body, you did, for the paving project. So there's been nothing over and above that amount spent to date.
So if let's say that Baldwin Paving Company, whoever that is, won the bid, they would get the extra amount of money that you're talking about on top of that as well?
No, sir. What happened is we obviously go out to bid. Once we then selected what was the proper bidder and they were properly vetted, a contract was put together. The city attorney reviews the contract. Once it's approved to form, that contract, that change order for the awarding of that and the dollar amount was awarded to HH Paving. So the council awarded that contract. The roads that are in the change order, so when we put out the bid, we put out, these are all the roads that the council wants paved. And so it was a one-year agreement. There wasn't enough money once you actually brought in the bids. You then have to, Falcon did an assessment of every road, and then they actually collectively, working with me, put together the proposed change order. And then that's where I came to council and went through all of the roads that was on the list and how I prioritized them and why I prioritized them in that area. We also delayed the roads with the exception of Mirror Lake Parkway. We delayed all of those because they were on the Douglas County side, and we were hinging that on the SPLOST approval, and that's where those funds would come from for that paving. So there's been no changes in what was, for instance, none of the 2017 LMIG has been addressed yet. That's on your agenda for tonight. So again, we have not exceeded the amount authorized by council, nor have any of the pay apps hit that amount yet.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just ask, and make this as clear as you can for me and whoever's sitting in the audience, just so I understand this process of the bidding. We didn't have the money to do what we put out there that we were asking for on the roads?
You
How-
wouldn't know. You could only, basically, you have a list of roads, and so you would not know how much paving you could do until bids come in. Paving, fluctuates on cost, especially with oil prices and other factors. So once the bid came in, and you knew, because you're basing it based on for the most part, quantity, as well.
It was a level playing field for all bids coming in?
Yes. So once they were able to compare all of that, then we then have to sit down and basically have a negotiation, if you will, as you don't have enough in your budget to pave all of those, I think it was 16 or 18 roads, including the subdivision. So we had to prioritize, and then that's where I brought back to council the report and said, this is going to be my recommendation for what you prioritize now. And then in that same report was the subdivision that's on your agenda tonight, which was, awaiting additional funding. So that funding would be on your 2017 LMIG budget.
Okay, my turn. Eric, when you bid for HEH paving, what did you bid your number on?
The number was based off of the average of the 18 streets, the streets that they put out the bid originally.
That were provided to you by the city?
Yes.
David, based on that, how many bidders did we have that bid on that number?
I think there were three. Was there three responsive bidders? Yeah, I think there was three. Originally, there was four at the mandatory pre-conference bid, but I think there was three.
Who was the low bidder at that point?
I believe it was HEH. It's always been HEH.
Subsequent to that, was there an agreement made that the council was involved in that allowed that number to change from the number that Eric bid from HEH paving originally?
They didn't, no. They bid on quantities as far as the, physical. The numbers that come in from the bid were far north of what the council could stomach.
That's not my question.
So no, it's never changed. This council actually set the amount and authorized the amount that would go to paving.
Right.
That number's never changed.
My question is, what did you base your assumption or your analysis that HEH paving was the low bid?
Actually, Falcon actually managed the bid process. Once they were determined, you and I actually had several email exchanges as far as the documents, but we relied heavily on Falcon, who goes out and vets, checks the references, cross-checks a tabulation so that everything's apples to apples, and that tabulation's on the website to shows what all three companies' bids are.
Okay. This is not a question. As far as I'm concerned, I have no more questions for HEH paving. I'm convinced that with the punch list that we'll address the issues. My question is, if they bid based on a number that was provided to them by the city. By whom?
No, there was an assessment done of the roads first by Falcon. Falcon then puts together the bid specification list. That specification list then is what went out to bid. Once the bid on quantities and all of everything from striping, cost for asphalt, costing, and certainly Falcon can explain all of the matrix. Once that was done, then we knew, if you're bidding $5 for apples, we know, okay, this is how much apples going to cost. then we had to make a determination of how much money do we have, and based on how much money the council has to authorize, because the council hadn't authorized yet because they hadn't issued the contract. So once that money was, so that's where we sit down and say, okay, off of all these roads and the inspection of whether or not we have right-of-way issues, whether or not, you know, we're going to tear up the roads in the future for the water line, the council had already set a priority list of what roads they want to pave. So I administratively went in and put together that administrative report for the council, brought it to the council, and then at that point, the council authorizes the actual dollar amount, if you will, that was already in the contract. So we take those numbers and applied it to the roads that we knew we could get paved based with the dollars that the council had authorized. So not all of those roads could get paved, so we had to make sure the council knew what could get paved, what could not, based on the amount they had approved. The bidders never knew, you know, what the full amount was going to be that was going to be awarded by the council. Certainly from the budget, you could see what we had in 2015 and 2016 LMIG. You could see what we had in the SPLOST list. And that was the discussion with the council as that's the amount of money that you have. So ultimately, those are the streets that were prioritized, and I came up as close to that number as I could based on all the criteria of what was the priority, what roads are we not going to immediately turn around and tear up? What roads do we have problems with where we can't pave them to GDOT standards because we don't have right-of-way or there's, you know, other mitigating issues? So at that point then, that is the final change order of this is the roads that are going to meet the budget, pave those. We have to wait for the council to authorize additional funds before anything else on that list can be moved forward. Fast forward, that's where you get to the subdivision tonight. That was the next one on the priority list, sir.
Okay, two more questions. So what you're telling me is it was a unit price bid?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Line item unit price.
And you based your decision on who the low bidder was, or who the approved bidder was, based on their unit price bid?
Correct.
Okay. And the budget for roads, for LMIG roads for 2016 was how much?
The amount?
Yes.
I can't just remember off.
I think that would be helpful.
124,000, give or take, plus our 30% match.
Okay. Okay.
Plus you had 70% of your 2015 money, plus you had a line item left over, I think it was in the 2008 or the 2015 SPLOST. There was one that also had line item of like 308,000. So combined, I seem to, again, somewhere in the neighborhood of 657,000, I think, give or take, was what the council authorized for the paving project.
Okay. Last question. Is it not true that if you're bidding unit price, that's why you need to know the roughly how many dollars, how many streets you're going to pave, because obviously the more streets you pave, then the lower the cost can be. Is that a correct statement?
Not in this particular application. What you were bidding was a 12-month project. You're not bidding just these 6 roads that got paved. So what we did was we went through and evaluated each road and what would be done to each road. Put in the line item, let's say 1.5 inches of asphalt or inch of permaflex or whatever it was, and put all those. Put in sufficient units to cover approximately what we could afford, and then got their line item pricing. Their line item pricing is good for the next phase and the next phase and the next phase if you continue to go forward. And that's where these line items were established.
So is that true, Eric? We do bids all the time. So the unit price that you gave us this year would be good if you got the bid 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now?
For a period,
12 months.
For a period of 12 months.
Okay. So quantities have the more quantity you buy from whoever you was buying it from doesn't determine what your per ton price is?
In this instance, no.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Well, I don't want to beat that to death. So on none of these line items, quantity doesn't make a difference in the price.
No, quantity does make a difference in the price. That's why the line item was established where it was. from an engineering standpoint, if I said, okay, I want a price for 1 ton of asphalt, and you give me $100 a ton, that's not going to be representative of what the real number is. So I have to create a quantity that will make you give me a real number, because you're bidding against competitors. And that's what we did.
Okay. And then I just have one more question so that I understand this. Are you telling me that regardless of what this contract says and what I see, if this says I want 25 feet of road width, you're going to make a decision based on how much money I have as to whether or not you put 25 foot out there?
No, sir, I didn't say that. I said we're
well,
going to evaluate
okay.
the road and see what has to be done.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Okay, our next, we have reached public comment. Those who want to speak, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
And let the first one sign in and pass the list on.
Good idea.
Sign in and pass it down.
I've already signed in, so good.
Oh, good for you.
And as is customary, I will tell all you ladies and gentlemen that come up and speak that someone from staff will, it is not, we won't respond to your comments, but someone from staff will get back with you on an answer.
Did that bother you?
Oh, now I know who I am. Thank you.
Who am I? Oh,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Clint Chance, Villarica Public Library Board. Wanted to give a personal invitation besides what hopefully you've already received in the mail and seen through social media. Also the public here and the public watching at home. We will have our grand opening ceremonies for the new library this Saturday from 2:30 to 5 p.m. This has been a long time coming. We're going to have a lot of door prizes, a lot of things for all ages, activities for you to do to be able to mill around and see what all is in your library that your tax dollars have gone to putting up for the community. We are expecting to run out of parking. Tanner has graciously offered to allow us to commute people from their medical center, the hospital parking lot. So for the public at large, if you come down through there and see that the parking lot is closed off for the police units that we'll have there, please know that you can go to the Tanner lot. We will have a shuttle bus that will take you back and forth that will run that entire time. This will be an opening ceremony only because the staff will be stretched thin. We will not have normal operations for the opening, even though you are welcome to walk around and see all the functions of the library. The normal business hours will actually open on Monday the 13th at 9 a.m. for normal business in the library. And on behalf of the board, we wanted to thank the past city council, past mayor, and the current council members, and Mr. Milliron and Mr. Mecklin, and all the staff that was involved to get us to this point. It's been a lot of years coming, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Bruce Betterton, 9881 Reflections Drive, Villarica, and I'm here to comment on the road. I only have 2 quick comments. First, I'll couch it with the fact I don't know anything about paving either. However, somebody first asked, show me an example. If you'll go out here, Highway 97.
Sir, if you could address your comments to the council.
Go out to Highway 97. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Go out to Highway 97, turn right, drive towards Temple, have a look at the pavement, what's been put down, how it looks. Then go out and drive around North Carroll Road and the other roads that have been recently pavement. You can answer your own questions.
Highway 78.
Yes.
That's what you mean, right?
Yep.
South Carroll
Right out
Road.
here.
Yep.
And the second thing that I will mention, and as I say, I don't know anything about it either, but bituminous is very viscous. It takes a high temperature to make it move like honey, or a temperature anyway. You have to raise it up, but if you raise it up and lay it down, it'll flow out there and it'll get seamless. You won't even see where the two came together. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
John Mount, 214 Rockmart Road. Well, the pavement went in front of my house, so the one complaint I have is where our driveway comes in, and actually all the streets up to there. instead of putting extra asphalt out there, they just took the roller and kind of smooshed it off in towards the driveway, so it's a very sharp turn. Luckily, my wife and I both drive pickups, we can get in and out, but the people with small cars have the issue getting over that hump into a driveway. Hopefully that's fixed with the punch list. On the bid documents, because I had issues, I was looking through the stuff on the website, which I'm very glad it's on there. It's good. My concern about the bid was there was a line item added for material at the bottom that the other bidders did not have a chance to see. So, and it was a $128,000 line item, which seems you would almost want to go back out for bid when you're adding that much to a line item on the contract. So, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Marshall Smith, 9636 Coastal Point Drive, Billerica. I didn't really have a comment till Councilman McPherson asked a question about a contract, which never got answered, except by the people that represent the paving industry here, who said they're going to do it. What I took from that is they're going to do it the way they see fit to do it. If a contract, and I haven't seen the contract, but I'm well aware of what a contract is and what it does and what it stands for, who in the city of Billerica is out there watching to see that it's done correctly? Now, Councilman McDougal says he measures 22 feet across in 4 places. This gentleman over here says, I don't think he had any idea what it was, but he says it's 22 and a half or something, or 24 and a half is what it's supposed to be. Councilman Bass says the contract calls for 25 feet on South Carroll Road, and South Carroll Road is what I'm talking about. My question is, who is going to enforce that contract? Are the representatives from the paving companies and this gentleman right here, is he our voice? I don't know. But I know good paving when I see it, and I know bad paving when I see it. And I know it costs a lot of money for an additional 3 feet of paving going up South Carroll Road. And I don't believe it was an accident that it turned out to be 22 feet. So it's just a disgusting situation with me. It seems like nobody from the city of Billerica is representing this paving deal that's going on. And there's got to be somebody with the city that's qualified to go out there and monitor this work that's going on. So you have a tremendous punch list. You got people that come up here and complain. That should be handled as the work goes. Now, my question to the city council, to the city manager, is who's going to enforce that contract, just like Councilman McPherson asked, who's going to honor that contract, who's going to interpret the contract, and is it going to be enforced?
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Again, someone from staff, thank you all for your comments, and someone from staff will be returning your, hopefully everybody left their name, address, and an email address we can get back in touch with you. Okay. Consent agenda. Just to read this, the consent agenda is a single item that encompasses all the things the City Council would normally approve with little comment. Each of these items were discussed at the Thursday, February 2nd, 2017 Council work session, and it was unanimous consensus of the governing body to place the following items on the consent agenda. Those items are the CDBG resolution, unbudgeted repairs, vehicle purchase, excise tax on alcohol beverages resolution, and asphalt paving. So moving along to tab D, Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
We got to vote on it.
We have to vote on that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I make
My bad.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank y'all for keeping me honest. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion, a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, now moving on to tab D, Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Services. Vicki Coleman. Item 1, Badge Fest 2017.
Do you want to just Do you want to clarify that that asphalt paving is a separate asphalt paving from what we were just talking about?
On the consent agenda?
On the consent agenda.
I
Yeah,
think you just did.
okay.
It is.
Yeah, that is, for the record, that is not that is not the current asphalt paving.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can everybody hear me okay?
Barely.
Not really.
I think that mic is way past its useful
We
life.
need a better mic.
It's on and not working. So I'll just kind of raise my voice a little bit more. What you have before you is the contract for the Badge Fest 2017. The applicant, this item was originally before you in October of 2016, and since then the city attorney has drafted, a contract for your consideration and approval.
The one thing, we still have one number to fill in, which is the amount of the bond that we're going to require for the field replacement. Do we know that number yet?
My research on that number is $16,000.
That's what we're going to require.
The thing on the screen is the second item, it's not the first item. The venue rental is the first one.
The bond amount for the V-Plex that he's referencing.
So if they come in and the fields get messed up or whatever, they have to have basically that bond, that insurance to take care of those repairs, and it'll be for that amount.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if on the agreement that you have, but there's a couple of changes there. One, the rental fee amount is $500 rather than $0. That was the amount that was changed at the work session. There, we are filling in the blank for $16,000 for the field bond. And then lastly, we're adding in a provision that says that the rain date for the event will be May 20th, 2013, or 2017.
And if I can respond on the rain date.
Is that not a good date anymore?
Well, what he wants to do is certainly make sure he can rebook all of the participants for that weekend. So he is exploring some dates in August. So he mentioned that when he came by.
Okay. And then I think we can just state that the city will provide for a rain date at our choosing when it's convenient to us. Because, I mean, we're going to have events, and so it'll be difficult to schedule a day in August today, I would think.
We can look at the calendar, but I think to the earlier point, he's selling tickets, so he wants to make sure he can honor what people are coming to purchase. But I don't think, just us looking at a preliminary review of our calendar for August, that it's going to be an issue on our end.
Since we don't have an updated copy of this agreement, what'd you say the bond amount was?
$16,000. Yeah, and I guess my only point is just that we'll make a rain date available for him, but we don't know what date that will be yet.
Correct.
I'm just going to say this, maybe I'm the only one that's thinking this, but, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable with the fact that we've got an item for discussion that we're about to approve with a blank on it. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way.
No, I felt that way too. This is my worksheet blank, and it was supposed to have been completed.
But at the work session, we specifically discussed that and said that she would come back with a number tonight to be plugged into that, so.
Yeah, I was not at the work session, so.
I mean, I agree with you. I normally don't like for you to vote on non-finished documents, but we discussed this at the work session with the fact that we needed to know what that number was in order to,
So nothing else has
protect
changed on here but the $500 and the $16,000.
right, that's correct.
That answers my question. Discussion on council. Well, let's I hear a motion, we approve this contract for.
Make a motion, we approve the contract?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the contract for Badge Fest 2017. Further discussion. Call the question, all in favor? It is unanimous. Item 2, Velcro Pygmies.
The item that is before you is a contract for the Velcro Pygmies. As this is a follow-up, if you will. Last year, the city scheduled the Velcro Pygmies, and it certainly was a success, but what we're bringing back before you tonight is there'll be the opening act for our summer concert series for Saturday, June 10th. The amount is $4,000. And as stated in one of the previous items, this is a family friendly. We did make sure to provide that provision in the contract. Based on the conversation from the work session, the amount that staff did some research on rain insurance, that number is $500. What we had generally talked about. I will also let you know I'm still waiting on a number to come back from GERMA as well. So I looked outside.
You wait just a second.
Yeah, just let's let them.
Or maybe close the door.
Pick the mic up or.
A train in Villa Rica, what a surprise.
Has to be Amtrak. He didn't get off the horn.
He didn't get off at all.
Goodness gracious.
Please proceed.
Okay. So I do have one rain insurance quote in. I have a second one that is outstanding. I'm waiting on GERMA to respond back, so that at least gives us a point of reference of one basis, if you will, on the rain insurance. I think that was the last question or the outstanding question from the work session.
Are you Are you comfortable with whatever the parameters of that rain insurance, that it covers for this but not for that? Something to do with if it's lightning, not lightning?
Right.
Are you comfortable with the restrictions of it?
I'm comfortable. You know, I understand what we're looking at is this particular site here. The hours that we're looking at, I'm comfortable with. I believe Clint Chance raised certain points where you can measure here or elsewhere. I think this is really the most important thing. Also had a chance to reach out to another similar sized city just to look to see what they were doing in terms of their rain events. Quite frankly, they do a lot of festivals, but even for them, they said they don't typically do anything in terms of rain insurance for any event under 10,000. So this is certainly under that, and but I am comfortable with just again what their experiences have been going for a quarter an inch of rain. So I'm comfortable. Yes.
Okay, so we're just going to have to realize anytime we do this, you know, they're not 4,000, they're 4,500 basically, right?
Yeah, this is, and the higher, better acts obviously are going to be more costly to us. So the question is, yes, the 500 is separate from this contract. So that's administratively handled in the budget. If they have to redo it, I think it was half price on a Sunday. It's 4,000 if you want it, you know, during the, you know, premium time, if you will.
And we lost the whole last time, basically.
Exactly. So it's not worth the 4,000 gamble because you wouldn't want to do it on a Sunday night. So for us, it's $500 if we move forward with the rain insurance to potentially save not just the 4,000, but there's other expenses the city has that insurance covers. It's not just the $4,000 contract.
Okay.
One of the things I found that, trust me on this one, I don't have any idea. I've never heard this group before. Don't know that I ever will. But all the information I can find out about them is they are booked in Texas for the next 4 years on certain weekends, ranging from the $20,000 to $25,000 per weekend. So for us to get this bunch at $4,000 is a unbelievable thing. It's also because most of them live around here, and they're trying to help the community. So I applaud these guys, and any way we can help do this, I'm for it.
Well, let me say, I was here last year when that happened, and I'll echo that even though he's never heard them. I like this group, and I like to have them here. The question I'm going to have here, we're talking about this rain insurance. Obviously, a big issue came up last year when that event got canceled because of the rain, and that revolved around people who had paid money to have tables and chairs. Have you thought about how we would handle that this year? And I don't necessarily have to hear it right now, but I want to know that we have a plan for that as well. We're talking about rain insurance. I'd like to make sure that these people who do put out the money for these table and chairs are considered if we did have a rain date.
We are looking at that right now. We're trying to evaluate and potentially change the way we are planning for the tables in terms of changing the experience and how can we add more value to it, but particularly how we'll address it going forward in these particular rain situations. Last year, we did refund everyone who requested a refund for that particular rain date. But again, we'll come back and present to you what our policy changes will be related to.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Further questions? Not, call the question. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Velco Brigney contract.
Did you get that? Have a motion and a second to approve the Velco Pygmies contract. Further discussion? If not, all in favor?
You don't get a second.
I did. Yeah.
Somebody needs to buy Verlin a chair.
It is unanimous. Thank you, Vicki. Tab E, Community Development. Mr. Miller?
Mr. Mayor, this is a conditional use permit, requires a public hearing. The applicant, Mr. Rodney Fernander, is here of Mirror Lake Collision. This is a currently operating business that requires an annual extension of their current conditional use permit. This is for a property located at 82 Connors Road.
This is a public input meeting for this conditional use permit, so anyone wishing to come up and speak in favor or against this amendment or this conditional use permit, please do so. Seeing none, the item will come back to the council for discussion and approval.
Have they had a
Or no.
conditional use before? Is this another year's worth?
Yeah, I believe this is year 3. I may be wrong. Is this year 3? Is this the third year of the conditional or 4? It's been multiple years, sir. This is just an annual extension.
Make a motion, we approve the conditional use permit.
Right along.
Have a motion and a second to approve this conditional use permit. Further discussion?
Is it for 1 year?
1 year.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? It is unanimous. Tab F, Public Safety, and I see that we have Captain Parker here with us tonight. Thank you for coming. Will you be handling this item, or Mr. Miller, will you be handling this?
The chief's out of town, so I told him I would handle this. As you can see, we revised this based on the council discussion for 4 2017 Ford Explorers. I understand that a council member had a conversation with the chief regarding a vehicle, a Ford Explorer, that's actually the city took receipt in December, that's still in the Avanti building, and as to why that vehicle has not been outfitted yet. The simple answer was that when the council approved the purchase of that vehicle, it stated that the additional funds for outfitting it would come from the drug forfeiture funds. The department had exhausted its drug forfeiture on the previous 3 cars, so it was awaiting additional drug forfeiture funds or additional funding to come through. I also went through and evaluated the car purchases last year, and I think it'll be helpful for the council to understand, especially since we won a car last year. Madam Clerk, if you could put the overhead camera on, I'm going to walk the council through this because I think it'll help with great clarity before the council's asked to decide what it wants to do here. All right, so last year in the 2016 budget, there was a budget line item for 3 utility vehicles. These are police pursuit vehicles. And as you see, the council had approved the purchase of those 3. Is that?
Low bidder, is that right?
No, sir, but close enough. All right, I'm sorry that, that's as good as you can get. The council approved the purchase of those 3 cars in May. Also, as part of the 2016 budget, there was an addition of a school resource officer. This was a second school resource officer at Villa Rica High School. After the budget had already been approved, we had some change in staff December 31st at the water treatment plant, and we had identified a new 4x4 pickup truck that ended up getting assigned to stormwater, so we did not have to go out and purchase that new vehicle. So I'd come back to the council and said, with the additional school resource officer, can we allocate those funds to actually purchase a school resource officer vehicle? And the council approved that. So this is the school resource officer vehicle. This one's actually assigned at Villa Rica Elementary School, and the older vehicle had gone over to the high school. Shortly after that, we had a officer-involved accident, as you may recall. This was after an event at the mill where a vehicle had T-boned one of our patrol cars with one of our corporals in it, who was slightly injured. The city was not at fault. But this car was then totaled, so now you were at a loss of a vehicle. The insurance proceeds of this one ended up being roughly about $15,000. Given that we weren't going to get a lot of money for the insurance money, I'd come back to the council in August after the settlement and had come to the council about purchasing a Ford Fusion in order to provide that to detectives and utilizing the insurance money as the differential, and we went out and bought that vehicle accordingly. Also, when we went out to bid and came back before the council regarding the grapple truck, we were able, based on what was budgeted, we were able to significantly negotiate and save a significant amount of money on the grapple truck. So again, I asked the council if they would utilize and offset the difference to buy an additional Ford Explorer. So this is vehicle number 4, or SUV number 4. Not this particular vehicle, but the same type. The K9 was actually the first SUV that was rolled out, by the way. I just didn't have a picture of the 4th car, if you will. That car's been fully outfitted and is now in service. The reason this is important is the council in the 2016 budget had also done 2 things. One, it had approved the additional part-time code compliance officers, and we had also done a contract with Temple for code compliance. So we only had one administrative car that basically 3 people were having to use. So we went to the police department, and the police department, based on, again, we had talked to the council about swapping their oldest car over to a code compliance car, and then of course they would be getting the SUV so that they would sort of be on par. So the council had nodded and allowed that purchase. Keep in mind that when we rolled out the first SUV, we took the existing Crown Vic, which was a fully outfitted K9 vehicle, and on recommendation of the chief said to go ahead and sell that car as a fully outfitted K9 because it would actually bring in more value and money. So the estimated is somewhere on the low end of $5,500, somewhere to $8,000. It was put out for bid once. We thought we almost had it sold. So we still have that vehicle, and that one's going to actually have to go back out to Gov Deals because we weren't comfortable with the money that was coming in for it. It was too low bid. We feel very confident, and the chief does, that another police agency is going to need a K9 vehicle, and we have one outfitted that's flea-free. Now, the reason that's important, again, is that's a swap. One of the SUVs went to the K9. This K9 now will be sold, and then at some point the city will recoup. Unfortunately, sad to say, about the same time, we had yet another officer-involved wreck. This was an officer that was coming back from the Douglas County Jail and was rear-ended at a very high rate of speed. The officer actually thought he was being ambushed, floored it, but then looked in the rearview mirror, realized that there was a car stopped in the middle of the road. The woman got out and asked the officer why he was stopped in the middle of the road. Hence, you have this wrecked vehicle. This was a sad loss because this was a dual fuel vehicle. This was both a propane and gas, and it was a little more costly. So this one actually, because it was higher mileage, didn't bring us much money back, but we are now down yet another vehicle. Well, as happenstance has it, the officers who have done a great job on patrol enforcement go to the state conference, and guess what? They win a brand new car. Because of all their enforcement, wow, you lose one, you get one. But unfortunately, as life should deal you a deck of cards, in December, yet again, the day we actually had a homicide in the city of Villa Rica, we have a detective on his way to do homicide school, is hit, and again, a vehicle is totaled. This is a detective car. So actually, from what was budgeted, net vehicles, we're actually only up 2. Over and above the 3 that you originally provided. Because as the cars were swapped and used for administrative cars, or you actually lost them because they were totaled, we actually net were up 2. Last year, the council approved an aggressive take-home policy trying to be competitive with other agencies, keep our officers. You approved a policy for that. So fast forward to now. In the current Douglas County SPLOST, there is $120,000 that was budgeted for police vehicles and to outfit them. Don Rich is within $300 per car of the state contract. It was a staff recommendation that we go with them. Originally, again, it was 3 cars. That was the budget put in, but we never anticipated when we initially put in the budget last year that by happenstance you were going to still lose 2 more cars. So when I had the opportunity to discuss this with the chief, there's no question, the captain's here, he's glad to answer any questions, but we still are down, this car, but ultimately we're only up by 2. So that's the request for the 4 cars. So, and I'll gladly answer any questions, and the captain's here. He runs the patrol team, and it's very important. I will reiterate, none of these accidents were the fault of any of our officers. We've roughly, I think we ran the numbers that somewhere between $30,000 to $35,000 of insurance money that had come back to help offset outfitting these cars, because it's about $10,000 per card outfit, and we're also still anticipating additional money to come back once we sell the K9 car. So back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, David. Very thorough answer. Any questions?
Only question, I'm sorry, go ahead, is do we have a car that's sitting over there not outfitted? How long's it been sitting there outfitted, not outfitted, and why isn't it outfitted? Because I figure if we got the money to buy 3 or 4 more vehicles, even if the other money didn't come in that we thought we were going to use drug forfeiture or something like that.
Yes,
Anyway,
ma'am.
yeah.
We had originally planned on doing it with drug money. We didn't have quite as much drug money as we thought we did. And with the new mayor and new council member coming on, at the time that we were getting that car, we just got that car a few months ago. We thought it was just bad timing to do it at that time. The chief and I sat down and decided, let's wait until the new budget comes in, go ahead and outfit that car, get these other ones done. And so I guess we felt like it would look like we're trying to slip something, by the new mayor and stuff as they're coming in, getting this money on this car that we didn't expect to get, kind of thing. So we just wanted to be above board.
What are you saying that I'll make a little more clear? He didn't want to come to the council. The chief made this very clear because I followed it with finance and understood it. They didn't want to come to the council and say, hey, we appreciate the car, but will you also give us another $10,000 because we don't have any more money in our drug seizure bin? And with the council members just coming on, they didn't want to make it look like they just blew their budget. So they wanted to wait until the 2017 budget. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what you told me.
I'm concerned about it looking like we're over budget for our 2016 by using that money to outfit. It costs quite a bit. The camera alone is $5,300.
Do you anticipate any drug money coming in to outfit that car with?
We're working on it. We're working on
Good
it.
answer.
He can't tell us.
But, I mean, that
Good
money
answer.
can take years.
All right, 4 cars, it's gonna be $106,000. We've got $120,000 to play with. So if you're saying it's $40,000 to equip those 4 cars, $10,000 each, round numbers roughly.
No, sir, it's more than that. To completely equip a car, lights, everything, you're looking at closer to 16 per car. Radio was 4,700.
Okay.
Camera's 5,300. Everything else is.
I guess, Captain, my question is, I'm the one that asked that question.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to know it has nothing to do with me evaluating at this point whether or not you need the cars. My question is, if I add 4 more cars, you've got one out there in the Avanti building that you can't outfit, as Councilman Best just alluded to, you still won't have the money to outfit all 5 of these cars. So will we have cars not outfitted sitting out there in the Avanti building if we approve these 4?
And that's something I have to defer to Mr. Miller on. As far as-
The council last year actually, and this is why we went back to finance to figure out what they did. The council actually authorized the use of those insurance funds proceeds in order to outfit. Some of that money, even from the wreck where the police chief, by the way, the police chief's car was wrecked twice, one in 2015, one in 2016. We only just last year received the payments on his cars. The council had authorized that money to the cars. We went ahead and moved money because the insurance money hadn't come in yet. Moving. That's why I estimate there's 33 to 35,000 of the insurance money that was supposed to go to outfit the cars. We found and moved money around in line items to cover the markers for the cars, extra cars that we did. And when we sell the K9, that then is going to put you, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $42,000, give or take. That is supposed to be what the council allocated to outfit those additional cars.
What if we bought one last car, and we outfitted everything we have? Buy that car later or something. I just don't want cars sitting over there without the equipment on them.
I absolutely
And
agree.
we're
nor
waiting
should
for
they be.
something to sell that we hope
Even
sells.
what you just said, he said he's got $40,000. Captain Parker just said it costs a lot more than that to do 4 cars, right?
Yes.
It costs 16 a car, that's
64,000.
64 for 4 cars, but then if we want to outfit the one that's sitting over there not being outfitted, and add another 16 on, we up to 80,000.
Now, it's not going to cost quite that much for that. We've already got the equipment for the blue lights. All of that, all the emergency equipment is sitting at the radio shop now. We just didn't have the money for the camera and the radio.
How much you need for outfit the one that's sitting there?
Needing this one, 10,000.
10?
10,000, yes, sir.
All right, so that you understand the numbers, you have roughly about, I believe it's 33 or 35,000. We've done the math today on what insurance money was set aside and allocated by the council in order to outfit the cars. You also have an estimated of $5,500 to $8,000 once that K9 unit is sold. And you have the difference of the $120,000 less the actual purchase of the 4 cars, all combined, and give or take, I'm estimating about $18,000 left out of that. If I'm doing math correctly, you have
I'm saying
almost $60,000 to outfit those cars. I mean, I wouldn't ask for something that I'm not confident that the money wasn't there.
So, I guess, so just to sum this up, David, you're saying that we have enough, you are anticipating that we'll have enough money to outfit all 5 cars, the 4 that are requested and the one that's sitting in the Avanti building. Is that correct?
My math shows that we have roughly, once again, it's key to the sale of the, and I think there's one more insurance check that's coming in, I believe. but I know that we've accounted for 59,000 that's come back in or will come back into that fund, because when you spend money out of that drug fund as it comes in, and again, the council specifically stated in that last purchase that we would use the drug money for the outfitting of that particular car. Did I actually know that the drug fund was that low? No. With my discussion with the chief, he's like, if you thought I was going to come and stop you from buying a car, no. It's like I figured you'd figure out how we're going to outfit it.
So the answer is yes, it is your desire to, okay.
I will not after the 4 cars if I wasn't confident we could outfit them, sir.
Okay, my numbers say we need $180,000 to buy the cars and outfit them, including the one over there. And we've allocated 120, and you see we got.
There's 120 in your SPLOST.
How much insurance money you got?
I'm showing 35,000 insurance. I'm lowballing anywhere from 5,500 to 8,000 on the sale of the K-9 unit, so I'm only counting 6. And I'm showing the 18,000 differential.
Like take over the 60,000 shortage.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So sound like.
Well, I guess none of us are mathematicians. I still show us $18,000 short.
No.
I would consider dropping the car.
Okay.
Dropping one of the cars.
I make a motion, we do all of them.
I have a motion and a second that we purchase 4 police cars.
And also outfit that one over there.
Well, that wasn't, is that your motion?
And I outfit the one over there as well.
So the motion is to approve the purchase of 4 new cars from Don Rich Ford and outfit the existing car that's in the Avanti building. And we have a second on that. So any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Captain.
Did you enjoy that?
Be careful now, he may ask you to come up here every year.
Tab G, governing body. Item number 1 is community development grant program.
Mr. Mayor, I have not received any proposed changes, so this is the Community Development Grant Program. Once the council decides if they have any changes, we can incorporate them into the draft, and at that point, once the document is complete, we can start marketing for the council the Community Development Grant Program.
I had just a couple comments. On the community grant, okay, page number 2. What's eligible, what's ineligible. It says activities ineligible for funding include, and then it gives a whole list there on the second page, and it lists fundraising. My question was this, one of the first things that came to mind for me was, isn't the Taste of Villa Rica a fundraiser, even though, but it's for charity? Would that make things like, would that make that sort of project ineligible then?
I'll leave that determination to the city attorney. Again, it's just a draft, so if it's something the council wants to strike, by all means.
David Macklin, do you have an opinion on that?
It's the first time I've seen that, but, I will look at it to see, if that is something that will limit what the intended use of this grant is for.
Would it be appropriate then to table this until next month, until we have that information?
I'd encourage you to just strike that word. The reason is that you have some events coming up where applicants such as the Art Fest want to make immediate submittal. So I anticipate if you table it, you'll have to find another way to address those requests next month, sir.
So which word are we?
Fundraising.
Talking about
Fundraising.
striking fundraising.
Fundraising. Because
Where's
if it's
that
a
at?
charitable fundraiser, it would be
It's right here.
ineligible, so I just was thinking that's what that event is that happens every year. Okay, page 3,
Is that between
It says-
reduction and lobbying? fundraising?
under application instructions, it says applications with missing forms, attachments, or incomplete documentation will not be considered. My only request is that we be flexible with these groups and guide them through this. In other words, if they turn in and we say, well, sorry, you don't get it because you were missing a piece of paper, I just want to make sure that we're flexible with them because this is brand new. We've never done this before. And it's my understanding that's the way we're walking one of the applicants through. That was my only concern with that item.
Councilwoman?
Mhm.
What I would suggest is instead of the word will, just swap it out with the word may. That gives the council the opportunity to decide.
Okay, we've struck one word and changed the word.
So if they forget one little thing in their packet, they're not automatically said, well, too bad for you.
Still comes before the council, right?
Yes, always.
And then last one on page 4, it says under project budget, each event insurance is required for each event. And I just had a question about how that applied. They want this grant, they apply for it. They have to have some sort of insurance. I just wanted to understand that better.
We could actually make that more specific. Liability insurance is where we're headed, so it should really say, event. We could actually just say liability insurance is required for each event.
Okay, so whether it's the Taste of Villa Rica or it's the Thomas Dorsey Festival or whatever it is that's going on there, they need to also have liability insurance. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, we can ask the city attorney for his guidance
Yeah, I
on the
think
exact
maybe
wording.
You want to do the same thing that says event insurance may be required for each event, because there may be some events where we decide that there's no need for somebody to spend $500 to buy insurance that's pointless.
I agree with that.
So I do the same thing, it's just change that event insurance may be required for each event.
And to make it more, to clarify it, just say liability insurance may be required for each event.
We're going to change event to liability?
That makes more sense.
Okay.
That way it's a little more clarity. So far I see four word changes.
Yep. We strike one,
That's all I have.
Yeah, one's a strike.
make 3 changes.
Thank you, Councilman, for reading that through and pointing those things
It was
out.
fun.
Any further discussion before we call a question, which we should do first, actually? Do I hear a motion that we approve this item?
So moved with the changes we just addressed.
Have a motion that we approve the Community Development Grant Program with the changes as discussed tonight. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? It is unanimous. Item 2, meeting minutes. Gentlemen, you have, and ladies, you have before you the minutes for the January 10th, 2017 Public Facilities Authority meeting.
Not really, we don't have them all. We got the first 2, and I never saw the last 2.
So,
Didn't either.
Mr. Mayor, on the January 11th and January 18th, the city clerk did text me today. I apologize for not noting at the beginning of the agenda that those 2 sets of minutes, she was unable to get them completed in time for your submittal. So you'll have to defer those to your next meeting, sir.
so we are approving the January 10th, 2017 City of Villa Rica Public Facilities Authority minutes and the January 10th, 2017 monthly City Council meeting minutes.
Move to approve those 2.
Second.
Moving to second, all in favor? Unanimous. Item 3, council retreat.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we table this
To the next meeting?
to the next meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second that we table this until the next meeting. Discussion. If not, all in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, all opposed? Councilman Marshman, how did?
I was fixing to ask the question.
Okay.
Ask the question. Okay. Selection of dates, so you saying just put off selecting the date to next? Okay. All right.
So that's an affirmative vote?
Okay.
Okay. It is unanimous. Okay, item 5, Hart House.
That was taken
That
off.
was taken off. Pardon me. Okay, item 6, board and committee appointments. Before we go into the items that are on here, I would like to bring up that I have spoken to, I think all of you, about your standing committee appointments, and would like to recommend the following. For the Recreation Advisory Commission, Shirley Marchman, Danny Carter, and Leslie McPherson. For the Housing...
I apologize.
Recreation.
It's
Sorry?
like being in school. Sometimes, you know,
Recreation.
Okay, thank you.
For the Housing Authority, Councilman Gil McDougall, Shirley Marchman, and Leslie McPherson. For the Library Board, Councilman Gil McDougall, Leslie McPherson, and Shirley Marchman. For the Public Safety Committee, Councilman Verlin Best, Shirley Marchman, and Danny Carter. For the Finance and Audit Committee, Councilman Danny Carter, Gil McDougall, and Verlin Best. Those are just my appointments, so they don't need to be voted on, I'm assuming. Correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Now, item A. David, are you going to handle this one, or?
6A.
Mm-hmm.
This is a application for an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. This is for Ms. Nancy G. Mims to be appointed to the Historic Preservation Commission. There are 2 unexpired terms. The council will need to decide one if they're going to appoint, and if so, in the motion decide which expiration date that they'll use for the remainder of the 3-year term.
Discussion.
I'd like to give Ms. Mims the longer of the unexpired terms.
What describe longer?
The 2019 was.
You're assuming I remember, right?
February the 1st, 2019.
Yeah, that's longer.
I agree with that.
Okay, it's 219. Thank you.
2019?
Appreciate that.
Okay, do we need to make a motion second on these and vote on each one of them?
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear a motion that we approve the nomination of Nancy G. Mims to the Historic Preservation Commission for a period of, tell me the time period.
Term expiring February 1st, 2019, sir.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Discussion. If not, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Item B, Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, the council instructed staff to come forth with a proposal for extending on a staggered term the Planning and Zoning Commission for wards 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Being consistent with past charters, because Ward 1, Ward 2 recently had been elected for their 4-year terms. Staff went ahead and permitted those as a recommended for 3-year terms expiring December 31st, 2019. Wards 3, 4, and 5 are on the November ballot for reconsideration. So those positions, staff recommended 1-year appointments, and then in the following year, they would then move to 3-year appointments, and therefore you would have staggered terms moving forward for those wards there.
When do we appoint these planning and zoning people? Because I have a change for mine.
That would be the next agenda item, sir.
So basically, we are, as if I understand this, we're changing it from a 1-year term to a 3-year term, which I think is a great idea. So, okay.
But in order to make it so it's staggered, there'll be a few that will just serve 1 year right now and have to then be reappointed next year.
Correct. Okay.
And it also coincides with the number, with the wards they were elected.
So I don't see a list of planning and zoning members versus wards, so where is it?
I believe it's in your packet. There should have been,
Under boards, authorities, and commissions, I haven't
There should
found
be a
the right
list of them
page
all.
yet, though.
back in the back, number 6.
On the backside at the top of, would you say, which page is that?
6.
6.
It's 5 pages up, 6 pages up.
Okay, yep, I remember seeing that.
Discussion?
Yeah, I have a change on my planning and zoning.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, we're not to that yet. We're at item B, which basically changes the term as you see in the little chart that's attached. Do I hear a motion that we approve?
Make a motion that we change the terms for appointment for planning and zoning.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Further discussion? Not, all in favor? Unanimous. Now, item C.
Mr. Mayor, I'd recommend at this point, if you go down ward by ward and ask them for their recommended appointment, and then that way, for the record, the clerk can recognize the minutes accurately.
Okay. Everyone has before them the list of planning and zoning commissioners, do they not? Okay. Ward 1,
Willie March.
Willie Marchman. Ward 2,
Kurt Kraft.
Kurt Kraft. Will we vote on these individually, David, or should we just?
You know, I think you can vote on them all at once,
Okay.
unless there's multiple nominations.
Okay. Ward 3,
I'd like to reappoint John Mount, as long as he's willing to serve. Probably
John
should have
Mount?
made a phone call.
Ward 4,
I would love to reappoint John Hannaback if he's interested.
John Hannaback. And Ward 5.
Ward 5, I sent out an email and a text to Mr. Robinson asking if he was interested in retaining his position on planning and zoning, and I did not get a reply back. So I'm going to nominate Clara Thomas to fill his position.
Clara Thomas. Okay, gentlemen, we have our 5 planning and zoning commissioners identified. Do I hear a motion that we approve?
So moved.
I think I'll all do it at one time. Can you keep all this clear? I hope you can.
Him and I second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Just pick one.
Call the question. All in favor? It is unanimous. And we have, I jumped ahead of myself, David. I didn't see that.
Yes,
I
sir.
did.
I apologize, number 7 should not be on there. It was on the consent agenda. We left
Okay.
that on there by accident, sir.
So we're going to strike item 7.
Yes, sir.
Say Mariel 2016 committees.
Again, it's me working Sunday. It's a typo.
Well, it's no worse than I am. I can't even keep them in order, so. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose? David, you want to read our disclaimer? I know, but
Already
just for
did,
the
but I'll
record.
do it again. It is the reason that was given that we would adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing or deliberating upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employees. For that purpose.
So move.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Unanimous.
Captain, are they still using that room? Might as well keep those for the minutes, just in case.
Sounds right. I'm gonna hold on to that one.
I'll get out of your way.
Yeah. Pause it till we're out. Yep.
Good. I'm still a bit delicate, but pretty good.
thought, when you pave things, it's supposed to look nice, and when it says GDOT standard, is it or is it not? Because 78 is very nice.
You need modest, that's what you did for a living. And let me tell you, when people didn't do it like the contract say, guess what they didn't get?
You think that happened here, but
They are still running around with one in each pocket. And I think it's keeping me from no, not quite.
you too.
And your name, sir? Yes. Okay, I didn't hear. What company is it
Thank you, John, for that. Thank you, John, for that outstanding thing. That was
I knew you had it covered. Okay, sure. Watch out, mister. I know one. I repeat this. How's he doing? I need a copy of this.
What about the math? How long?
30 to 35 PSIs. It might still roll at 20, and it might still roll at 50, but it's going to wear out. It's designed from 30 to 35. I said, we didn't pay you for your contract just to make you run. We paid you to put it in right by it instead. And he finally admitted, yeah, you're right. But he was just looking for little things for nonsense so bad. It's just guys, but it's a nightmare.
An accident that was 5 cars. Wait a minute, CCRP, first year, everybody was over someone down night crime was supposed to read this book. Okay? Shannon says it's the most boring book I've ever picked up. It's horrible. Well, you did it then. Destroyed the entire generation.
Learning the classes, like grade X, grade
Still watching everybody going the other way, I'm very grateful.
A lot of money, I guess, to have Blue Group over there. And the IT budget.
Y'all
And
will.
our IT budget stays. We were considering going out. We tried to go to an outside company for IT on that benefit. And it came back over 6 years. We literally, it was giving us such a deal that we couldn't afford the difference.
Do you know what someone told me?
We'll see.
I might have heard Jeffrey was up. Even when it's open, they're not there for that. Because I go by there, I more or less always see it, you know, and I felt kind of bad about it. So I went over and looked at the car, there was waiting on your.
No, they're not looking for you.
Jerry, when I told her that, I said, I tell her that I'm really a nice person. She said, why would I do that?
What's the big news this week?
Well, they did. She said, why should they be any different than the rest of us?
Yeah.
Sure, your job is what they need. Nobody's gonna do it for you. And I'll tell you what, if they could rip her head off for telling me that. You should have seen the board I did with Jeffrey Dredger. You know, and I said, oh, don't laugh. This just makes me happy. And now I got paid. And now he sits, hello, like his truck.
Hey, Mom. No, I've been, here at the council meeting. Yeah, yeah.
If you say I said it all tonight, you know that technology money that we got, do you know where a lot of that technology money went at the high school? And this is what I'm hearing the principal, just so you know who the principal is. They have a thing where if you are teacher of the month, let's say Jeffrey got teacher of the month, he got an iPad. Well, he already had two. He had one, his wife had one. So guess who got to play with the iPad? The grandchild, okay?
Oh, you're actually timing them.
Then the teacher of the month names the next teacher of the month. So we named Roslyn. Who got an iPad? Now, excuse me, why are these kids not getting the iPads? Why is it going small kids because of so much change. Mercy. I don't know a lot of small kids a lot. Just as a general rule, I don't care for you. I like the I love Winston. I mean, he's a boo. He loves kids. And today, he didn't like that much. Look at my hair. It's a little dry. He said, oh, Granddaddy squirted my hair. I said, hey, you squirt Granddaddy? I don't care. He squirted my hair and my hair's red. Well, then he starts leaning over to his hips.
person I know that can meet the governor. I said there's every person can meet the governor. The rest, two people.
Well, yeah.
At least I didn't have to make a good comments about the person who got this thing started. I had no idea. I was just trying to get it.
Is this your sister? Where do you sit down there? Oh, that's in the back. Oh, that's me and me and, yeah, yeah, okay.
Also a certified municipal clerk.
Well, good. So now this has back up.
She's been with the city a year now.
You need to get out front more. Where's Elisa?
At training.
Oh,
Consider confident.
well, I saw her training stuff. Is it 6 months?
It's, I mean, they've got, well, I guess it's a bunch of points in the past. Well, you know, not whole life and all the ways.
I may not say 2 or 3 minutes a meeting, but every little bit helps.
You Texas, though, this week.
It's been like a revolving door.
How long we been?
An executive session, that is just. I know.
Go get Mexican food. I'm hungry.
I am
It's
too.
already in.
Heck, if we could go and start with it. And I said, where?
I'm gonna turn into the Star News and get reimbursed.
Before they finish up.
No, if I was gonna do anything, I would claim it on the taxes, I would turn it in and start it.
You don't want to, don't do it, we're going right up for 50% write-off. You only get a 50% write-off.
Oh, maybe I would have to turn it in something.
Turn it into a 50%.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'll do. It only depends if I can skip while I'm down there, then I'll turn it. Do you have to study? Are you staying in executive session? What would Jeff say if he comes out and you're down there already?
Well, no, it's not the rapture.
What do you mean, behave?
Just what I said. You know it's hard for you to do that.
No, I'm a good patient. I'm an excellent patient. I don't know what they're gonna do to me when I'm asleep.
I don't understand, Jenna.
She said it's still broadcasting. She says? I don't know. She says still is. I'll leave it at that. I would think so, but I don't know. Huh? I would hope so, but reporter for the, like, the broadcast. The broadcast?
You're not ready anymore.
I'm not ready now.
Do I hear a motion, we reconvene? So moved. Second, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? We are reconvened. Mr. Macklin?
I just report no action was taken in executive session, which requires any type of action during the open meeting.
Thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion, we adjourn?
To adjourn.
Motion, moved and second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Councilman Best.
They won't remember you, you just make it.
They all raised their hands at the same time.
Birthday party.
Tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, I should have been there a long time
You know,
ago.
we're gonna have to put you on the payroll if you keep doing this. Hey, Gil, did you want your food upstairs?
Somebody must have left it.
Well, they put it in
Oh, you put it
candy.
there for me?
It's piece of candy
I
to
didn't.
everyone.
Thank you.
No, you got a piece of candy, didn't you?
No, somebody stole it.
Tell that one here why. Hey, did you see we were on the radio this morning?